This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLesio and Kenny Burgamy.
Wow, is it really November?
It is.
Man, time sure does fly when you're having fun. And we do like to have fun on this show, so we are so glad you tuned in for another edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor. I'm Ray DeLesio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. Not only do we like to have fun here at the Monitor, but we also like for you to say, you know, I actually learned something by watching that show. And coming up on today's program, we'll tell you how the state of Georgia is getting more aggressive in the battle against feral pigs, the new program that has farmers and hunters joining forces. Also on the show, after the harsh winter Georgia farmers experienced last year, see the steps cattle producers are already taking to offset the cost in the event another cold winter takes place.
And then later, Ranger Nick is back, and this month he's spending time with country music singer Darrell Singletary, who was also born and raised right here in Georgia. Darrell shares some of his favorite turkey tips with Ranger Nick. All this and more starting right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
While Georgia might be known for the 3 Ps, that's peaches, peanuts, and pecans, it's actually another commodity that's recently taken center stage. Damon Jones tells you about the blueberry and how this state has become the nation's top producer of that fruit.
While it's been grown here in the state for decades now, blueberries still aren't considered one of Georgia's signature crops. However, that is likely to change as recent numbers show that Georgia has become the top blueberry producing state in the country with more than 96 million pounds. It's a growth that has really exploded over the past 10 years.
Oh yeah, it's really, I'd say at year 2000, we was probably at 8,000 acres in the state of Georgia. Right now, we're so far behind on actually counting the acres that some numbers run around out here at 25,000 acres.
And one of the main reasons for the increased acreage is all the positive research showing why this fruit should be part of a daily diet.
The health benefits has created extra demand in the marketplace, and Georgia, climate-wise, fit into a pretty good window for marketing, and so there was a lot of interest in the industry.
With the huge increase in popularity, research and development has become more important than ever. It's a task that is spearheaded at the University of Georgia by Dr. Scott Neesmith.
The breeding program, we've been able to, in the last few years, put out some varieties I think that should be helpful to our industry from this point forward. Older varieties have got us to where we are. And in the last 15 years or so, we've been trying to make varieties that will carry us on further. And today we're trying to make varieties that will be useful to us 10 to 15 years from now.
While finding the best variety takes years and years of research, growers are always pushing to find the next big thing in the industry.
These growers, I try to tell them, this is a process. We kind of have to go through a vetting of these plants, but they want them as fast as they can get them. If they drive by and I've only looked at 1, 3, 4 years. I want to look at it about 10. They're ready to have it.
And all that research has caused a major step forward within the industry as growers are now starting to see yields in their bushes earlier than ever.
Used to it was 7 to 8 years back when we started in the late 80s. You was looking at a 6 or 7 year old bush for maturity. Nowadays, we can push them and start turning some dollars or production off of it by year 3. And then by year 4 and 5, you're starting to get really into some good production opportunities.
While it is important, yield isn't the only thing these breeders look for when testing their thousands of varieties each and every year.
In Georgia, we grow blueberries from mid-April up through probably mid-July on a commercial scale. That's one of the largest marketing windows in the U.S. And so we try to put different varieties in those different windows to make sure we can have a sustained supply for a long time.
And that's exactly what blueberry growers want to hear, as it appears this fruit is here to stay in Georgia. As for advice to those looking to get into the industry,
the number one thing is before you put a blueberry in the ground, especially commercially, would be decide where you're going to sell it. I think the days of I'll just plant these and somebody will come by and buy them, I think those days are gone.
Reporting from Manor, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, thank you very much. Well, with the help of a new program, Georgia farmers now have yet another resource in the battle against feral hogs and the damaging effects they leave behind. The Hunters Helping Farmers program was a joint effort by the Georgia Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources designed to help alleviate the agricultural and financial damage caused by these non-native invasive pests. According to organizers, the goal of the new program is to help facilitate a relationship between farmers looking for ways to control hog issues on their land and hunters looking to hunt them. Interested farmers can register on the Georgia Department of Agriculture website at www.agr.georgia.gov. Information from interested farmers and hunters will be matched based on geographical area and given to the farmer to choose if and when to contact a hunter. The farmer will be responsible for making all arrangements with the hunter. Meantime, a quick message from our friends at the National Cotton Council. They are conducting another round of information meetings regarding the implementation of the 2014 Farm Bill. The two scheduled dates here in Georgia are as follows: November 18th at 3 p.m. at the Bullitt County Ag Center in Statesboro. Then again on November 19th at 9 a.m. at the UGA Tifton Campus Conference Center. And speaking of the National Cotton Council, this fall they are reminding everyone connected to the cotton industry about the importance of keeping their product free of contamination.
Yeah, Ray, a few weeks ago I visited with one family that runs a cotton gin, and I talked to them about their operation and the efforts in the ginning process to keep cotton free of contaminants. In central Georgia's Dooley County, the Coleys have been dealing in cotton since 1945, and Chuck Coley has seen a lot of changes in the industry over the years.
This facility here, place we're here in Vienna, it was original Southern Cotton Oil company plant that I think it was started built in 1899, it was completed in 1900, and it had a gin, bought peanut, soap, fertilizer, had a little feed mill. You know, back then it had a little bit of everything. And my granddaddy it came back, can't remember exactly what year, and it was a bookkeeper for him. And then he and my daddy bought this place from Southern Cotton Oil when they were divesting some of their interest in 1945. And so we've been building on it.
His son Matt said he understands the national effort to help cotton producers, and a big part of what they do is making sure that contamination isn't a problem with the cotton they process. He urges each person involved in every step of that process to do their part.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is growers and ginners need to be aware of what's going on. If you see plastic anywhere or any kind of contamination, you need to kind of stop what you're doing and readdress it, because we don't want quality to be an issue with Georgia cotton. There's going to be less cotton exported this year than it has before, so we got to make sure Georgia doesn't get a bad rap on the quality side, and nobody wants our cotton.
Chris Shimon with Georgia's Cotton Commission told me even the smallest amount of plastic can cause problems.
So contamination could be anything from leather gloves that may fall off, pieces of plastic that are caught in the field, even things as small as a piece of plastic like this. When this goes through the gin, this could get tore up into 1,000 pieces or so, and then that may infect a lot of bales. So something that may come out of your field may end up in your neighbor's bales just because of the way it goes through at the gin.
Chuck Coley said he thinks it's great to have his son Matt working in the family business now and managing a large part of the cotton gin.
So he's taken over a lot of, I tell a lot of people he's taken over the parts of the operation that I don't like to do. Paperwork and things like that, but dealing with insurance and FSA. But he's been definitely an asset, and been proud to have him back.
Well, you know, I'm always optimistic when it comes to cotton prices. Even when you got a gin and you're a farmer, you got to be. But you know, the prices have taken a pretty good hit this year, and you know, we still got a ways before we get into next year. You know, hopefully we can get the price to rebound a little bit, so we can get make sure we have plenty of cotton acres planted next spring.
And still to come on the Monitor, we salute those Georgia farmers who not only helped feed a nation, but who also fought for our country during the time of war.
Yeah, but first, when the Monitor continues, cattle producers, are you ready for the winter? If not, or even if you think you are, we've got a story you need to see. Mark Wildman will have it for you when the Georgia Farm Monitor continues, so stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to the Georgia Farm Monitor. A beautiful fall day recently as the Georgia Farm Bureau hosted its 18th annual peanut boil for all its home office employees to celebrate Georgia being the top peanut producing state, as well as the harvest of the crop, which is currently underway. Staff members of the Georgia Peanut Commission boiled peanuts and served hot grilled peanut butter and apple jelly sandwiches. One of the many events Chairman Armin Morris says he looks forward to every year.
I hope that it's a morale booster here for the people that work here at Georgia Farm Bureau. I know it is for us as Georgia Peanut Commission and the farmers of the state of Georgia. It's exciting for us to come up here, and we've got here at Georgia Farm Bureau has about 700 employees with the insurance and also the Federation also. So it's a very good day. It's a good opportunity for us to interact with them and encourage them to eat peanuts.
Georgia livestock producers are gearing up for the winter months by planting forage crops for their cattle to graze on.
Yeah, the Monitor's Mark Wildman recently caught up with UGA Extension's forage specialist to find out what producers should be doing so their cattle will thrive this winter.
On a clear fall day in Watkinsville, Georgia, UGA Extension forage specialist Dennis Hancock, along with research tech J.D. Hale, are doing what cattle farmers all over Georgia are doing, and that is loading up the drill press and planting winter grazing.
I think one of the big things would be to emphasize ryegrass. Ryegrass is our best winter annual grass, high yields and high quality. The biggest challenge with that oftentimes is not giving us as much early season grazing, and so sometimes we need to add a little small grain with it to get some earlier possible grazing.
Even though this farm is planting one specific type of forage, farmers have some options to make sure their cattle get the nutrients they need.
I always am an advocate of trying to mix in some winter annual legumes. Both crimson and arrowleaf clover really work well in our winter grazing platforms, and one of the real advantages to growing clover is the nitrogen benefit, but there's also a substantial quality benefit as well.
As this field gets planted, Dennis, along with PhD student Deidre Harmon, check soil conditions to make sure the crop gets established correctly.
Looking at seeding depth and make sure that we're actually where we need to be with regard to seed placement. And in the case of small grains, it needs to be about 3/4 inch to an inch. In the case of ryegrass, it needs to be about just about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, depending on the soil texture.
Raising cattle is a numbers game, and when your cattle can graze, that saves farmers money. And with good cattle prices, farmers are hoping for a good winter.
It's always cheaper for the animal to graze it themselves rather than us hauling it to them. And plus the convenience factor of having those animals go out and harvest that material themselves.
Farmers stock up on hay as well. Even though this is a more expensive option, it may be necessary because you never know what conditions you might face.
Last year we fed a tremendous amount of hay because of how difficult the winter really was. And they are projecting a little bit colder winter than normal for us again. Hopefully it won't be nearly as bad as it was last year.
Georgia farmers produce top quality hay, and it is very important to pack as much nutrients as you can in each hay bale.
That message is really getting out there. Georgia Farm Bureau does a great job with their hay contest, and with our Southeast Hay Contest as well. We've really strive to get that message out there. It's an important message to our producers to keep their costs low, and also to make sure their animals are well taken care of going through the winter.
So as the weather gets colder, this field will get greener, and the cows will have plenty to eat when winter arrives in Watkinsville, Georgia. For the Georgia Farm Monitor, I'm Mark Wildman.
All right, Mark, nice job, sir. Well, when we come back, some creative ideas for those leftover pumpkins now that Halloween is over. Also, country music singer Darrell Singletary tells Ranger Nick why growing up in Georgia was so special to him, his favorite memories as a child, and some personal suggestions now that turkey season is upon us.
But before we send it to break, with Veterans Day coming up later this month, we wanted to take some time to recognize those farmers in Georgia who not only did a service by feeding the people of our country, but who also fought for them during the times of war. First is Fulton County Farm Bureau President Dorsey Coleman. He saw action in the Marine Corps during World War II.
growing up on a farm made me strong muscle. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was just shy of 6 feet tall and weighed just shy of 200 pounds. I had the best job on the gun, couldn't have had a better one. My job was called the lanyard man. Lanyard, a piece of rope about that long. And all I did was when the man says fire, ooh. When I left here, my dad and I were always real close. We lived just the two of us. But the last thing I said when we left, I said, Dad, if it be the Lord's will, I'll be back. Otherwise, I'll see you in heaven.
Remember the old days when pumpkins became jack-o'-lanterns and were pretty much done after Halloween? Well, welcome to the new generation of pumpkin pageantry. Why feature just one when you can have dozens? This exhibit at UT's Ag Research Center in Jackson includes 70 varieties of pumpkins and more than 5,000 pieces. It's an eye-catching reminder that not every pumpkin is orange and round.
And most people do associate the traditional jack-o'-lantern with the pumpkin, but there are several different species and they range from miniature to gigantic pumpkins and every color of the rainbow that you can imagine.
Dr. Annette Wislacki was one of the featured experts at the UT Ag Research Pumpkin Field Day. Producers could learn about cover crops for pumpkins, insect and weed control, and pick up fall decorating tips. Jason Reeves is the main creator of the display. Here he is pumpkin chunkin' as the exhibit comes to life.
Well, it took us about a week to put the display together with about 7 people, a lot of volunteers, master gardeners and employees as well, and a couple weeks of harvesting and washing by the master gardeners. We have about 2 acres of pumpkins, gourds, and winter squash here, so yes, everything you see was grown on the property.
Historically, Tennessee has held its own in pumpkin production with Midwestern states, growing about 3,000 or 4,000 acres every year. Here we grow more fresh market pumpkins, meaning they're for decoration, not food.
Our climate is very good for pumpkin growing because we have nice warm temperatures, and pumpkins are a warm season crop, so they respond to that warm temperature.
Lance Carter of McNairy County attended the field day. He donates the sales from every pumpkin he grows to St. Jude's Children's Hospital in Memphis. That's the place that saved the life of his daughter Kinsley, now in remission from childhood cancer.
My thought process is, while we were over there was somebody raising money and helping out while we were there to make sure that my daughter would be healthy. So it's just our way of kind of making sure that that next kid that's over there right now able to receive the treatment and be healthy, hopefully soon.
As for this show, it will stay up here in Jackson through Thanksgiving. Meantime, if the Great Pumpkin swings by Halloween night, he'll be pleased to see his fellow brethren on proud display. Pumpkins are a unique and fun reminder of what a pretty time of year this can be. This is Chuck Denny reporting.
All right, Chuck, thank you as always. Well, for his latest edition of Ranger Nick, UGA professor Dr. Nick Furman hit the road, headed to Marietta, Georgia, where he met up with country music singer Darrell Singletary.
Yeah, Darrell, of course, very popular in the late 90s, a native of Cairo, Georgia. Darrell is also a big fan of the great outdoors, so you know it made for a very interesting day with Ranger Nick.
She'd come home 6 a.m. Tell me she'd been out with friends. I let her lie.
Well, folks, Darrell is a big turkey hunter and a big outdoorsman. Double barrel Darrell. Darrell, we're standing out here in the woods today, beautiful day. When you think about a perfect top-notch hunting spot for some of those spring gobblers, what are you looking for?
Well, you know, down in Georgia, I grew up around a lot of fields, and some of the biggest turkeys I've killed have been on a plowed field, where they love to come out and sun, they love to come out and strut and dust, and In Tennessee, it's a little bit different because I mean we don't have a lot of actually in the county I live in Wilson County, Tennessee. You know, there's not a lot of agricultural land around me. So it's a lot of woods. I mean, but you know, you look for in trees that turkeys may roost in. A lot of hardwoods is good for spotting. You know, and we look at this kind of a hill back here. I mean, you know, turkeys normally are going to roost up high and come down low. So they're not going to, you know, a turkey normally won't come off the roof and go up the hill. You know, they come off the hill and come down. So, you know, it's nice to go out and sit in the background and maybe call a turkey in for somebody and just watch Mother Nature in action. You know, this bird comes in strutting and gobbling and carrying on. That's a lot, and just being outside. Just the mere fact of getting up before daylight, coming out in the woods, and you could hear a pin drop, to hearing the woods open up, to hearing, you know, everything come to life, everything wake up. That's one of the most awesome things that you can do as a hunter, I think.
I agree, and we've got to remind folks when they go out and they don't get anything and they're not successful, they've been successful in being out there in the woods and just being together, something that we talk about, spending more time with folks outside like that. Daryl, I'm so glad to know that you do this kind of stuff. That's great. Now, some of the things we talk about when we're hunting and fishing are just some of those memories, and all of us have got that story, that memory that we have with a friend or family member being out and hunting and fishing. Daryl, what's yours? What's that one thing you remember more than anything when you've been hunting?
Well, you know what, I mean, I remember as a kid in woods similar to this, not necessarily the hills, you know, but in South Georgia, you know, and the tall pines and oaks, and I'm looking over the shoulder of the cameraman there looking at a squirrel nest. But my daddy at Thanksgiving and Christmas time, that was our big deal, we got to hold a shotgun and go squirrel hunting with my daddy and my granddaddy and my uncles and cousins, and we'd cover up the woods squirrel hunting. And that's probably one of the coolest things that I remember about childhood is Christmas and Thanksgiving, getting to go out squirrel hunting. And then, you know, we'd kill a few squirrel and come home and clean them, and Nanny would cook them up, and that's a neat deal. And then, you know, I think as I got older, you know, growing up down in South Georgia, we quail hunted a lot. And I had a principal in high school that we had, you know, some property and had some woods and hay fields and stuff, and he'd get me out of school early to go quail hunting. And we walked behind a little Brittany Spaniel and a pointer a lot of afternoons hunting quail, and that's still one of my big loves, is quail hunting. But probably some of my favorite memories in the woods is with my daddy and my younger brother and uncles and granddaddy was Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Well, folks, what a blast we've had today hanging with Daryl. I got a new friend out of it too. What a blast, Daryl. We thank you so much for being with us on the show. I mean, it's so good, folks. Check this guy out on the road. What a class act out there. And just the same kind of guy that's sitting with me today as you're going to see on the stage. Just a dynamite person. Daryl, I know that you're a UGA fan. I know that you're a Dogs fan.
Yes, sir.
I was able to pull some strings and talk to some folks on campus, and our former coach, Vince Dooley, has done a little something for you. He has autographed a football for you and wrote some stuff on there, Too Much Fun, and how you're a top dog singer. And folks, take a look at that. Right? I mean, just really cool. Vince was so flattered that we actually did for you. He's a big fan of yours too. It's great. Folks, he's got a new CD coming out next year. Still a little country left. You can check him out at Daryl Sing on Twitter. You can check me out at Ranger Nick UGA and follow us. I so appreciate you doing it. And as always, enthusiasm's contagious. Like I always say, pass it on. And I don't know if you can tell, we've had a great time today together. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you back here again next month. See ya.
Go Dogs.
And I don't know who the turkey should be more afraid of, Daryl or Ranger Nick.
Ranger Nick.
Just kidding, Nick. You know we love you. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Well, here's a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm. Be sure and check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and the Farm Monitor Show.
Take care, everybody. We will see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Hope you have a great week.